This conference will now be recorded.
Yari Madat, all friends online, welcome to our session today on this Sunday morning. Thank you for joining us this beautiful morning, and we have our speakers with us today, YASMIN, KARIM, and Dr. RUBINA BAROLIA, healing through prophetic prayers. I wonder, Yasmin, if I can request you to start your session with some prayers.
Yali Madad.
Oh, Yali Madad. Yeah, how about yes? This is beautiful to have your cameras on so we can see you.
Thank you, Nimet, and all friends online. Ya Ali Madad on this very, very beautiful Saturday morning. Malali Madad. Our sun is shining really beautifully and the mountains look great. So we'll begin with Dua and Nur. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma ja'ali nuran fi qalbi wa nuran fi sam'i wa nuran fi basari wa nuran fi lisani wa nuran fi sha'ri wa nuran fi bashari wa nuran fi lahmi wa nuran fi dami ونورا في عصبي ونورا من بين يدي ونورا من خلفي ونورا عن يميني ونورا عن يساري ونورا من فوقي ونورا من تحتي. O Allah, make for me a light in my heart and a light in my ear and a light in my eye, a light in my tongue and a light in my hair, a light in my skin and a light in my flesh, a light in my blood, a light in my bones, a nur in my nerve and a nur in front of me, a nur behind me and a nur on my right side, a nur on my left side and a nur below me. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alamin Ya Khudawan Ya Nur Maulana Shafi Malasini Hajar Imam. We beseech you, Khudawan, that you grant us all your spiritual help. Alright, so we're just going to, as you can see, prophetic prayers are really beautiful, sublime. Your metrics of prayers. Remember the bird. Are we trying, or how hard are we? And I'm asking myself first and foremost, how hard am I trying to soar higher and higher and higher and higher? What does it mean that humanity is within us? And we are talking about prophetic prayers. This verse, Nur Maulana Shafi Malasini Haji Imam has also cited this when he was talking about the social conscience of Islam. And remember, he reminded us that whoso saves a life, it is as if he saved the entire humanity or humankind. Okay? So what does that mean, and how is it possible that when we save one life, so in this case, one life is ourselves, right? So when I save myself, it is as though I have saved the whole of the humankind. So what does it mean, save myself? Remember, the human being is a junction of physical, spiritual, and intellectual, right? Any of you have reflected upon this and have some insights? This is a reflection point, and we can always come back and always interact and share some experiences. Okay? Today we will be looking at why prophetic prayers are important, and I will be talking about La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. Dr. RUBINA will be explaining prayers of Hazrat Yunus and Hazrat Adam. Who can guess what this is? Can you please all unmute yourselves, and it will be really great to hear from you. Where is this?
Is it one of the entrance of Jamaat Khana in London?
Yes, it is a Jamaat Khana, and you are right, absolutely. It's the entrance, yeah, it's the portal that takes you right through and through. So it is a Ismaili center, yes. Can you guess which city? or country?
Toronto?
Uh,
ICT Jamaat Khana in Toronto?
No, ICT is based on the concept of, it's a cyclical concept. It's based on the concept of nur, light. And actually the building also looks like almost like a crystal from the outside. Thanks for guessing that. So you got the country right. It is Canada, but not Toronto.
Burnaby Jamaat Khana?
Yes, Burnaby Jamaat. It's now called the Ismaili Center, Vancouver. Okay, and that happened this year around May. Haji Imam changed its name. Thanks for everyone who participated. And the reason I'm showing you this is because of the geometry here, right? And there are other reasons as well. You can actually connect it with the hadith of a Holy Prophet, where it says that Mullah Ali is the gate and Holy Prophet is the city of knowledge, or Mullah Ali is the door and he's the house of wisdom. But the intention here is to just focus on the calligraphy. Calligraphy is central to Islamic art. Calligraphy or geometry found endlessness, right? You can just keep going, continue going and going and going. It's a reminder, it's a beauty and a reminder of the spiritual aspect of ourselves, okay? So spiritual content within this building that invites us to enter through, okay? That was the intention for that. Now, how does geometry, or in this case, geometry used with calligraphy, remind us of prophetic prayers? Again, it's a continuation of the cycle of spirituality. Okay? It's never ending. Why are prophetic prayers important? We looked at this last time. Prophetic prayers are complete, they are comprehensive, they are perfect, they are logical. And the reason is because prophets are chosen by Allah, and therefore their prayers are also very, very luminous, and they are nur itself. Okay? So we had looked at Rabbi Zidni Ilma last time, and we were discussing how we can connect this Quranic prayer with these words of Nur Maulana Shah Kamil Singh Haji Imam, right? Become the knowledge Jamaat, not just a Jamaat of faith. So remember the bird again, right? Knowledge, knowledge and action, or love and knowledge. Okay? So it's always a balance of knowledge and faith. Okay? So what does it mean that we should become a Jamaat of knowledge? So obviously it means different things to all of us because we are all at a different level. Very beautiful core understanding of what knowledge means here. Right? Let's look at these words. Fortunately, science is teaching us more and more about Allah's creation every day. But I do not believe that the miracle of humanity is one that will ever be totally understood. And why should we pretend to have intellectual vanity to understand everything which is around us? Let us be intellectually respectful, intellectually humble, intellectually curious, intellectually well-directed. But let us not pretend that the dimensions of human knowledge have no limits. These words are really profound, and to sum it all up in one word for myself, in my understanding, it all begins with intellectual humbleness. Yeah. Humility, as we all know, or to be humble, there are many definitions of humility and what it means to be humble, okay? But here, for our purposes and our intentions here, let's take humility, or to be humble, as to be surrendering oneself before Allah's will, okay, or before Allah's power. So to be humble actually is to accept our own limitations. What does it mean that we should understand, we should be intellectually respectful, we should be curious. This is very, very important. This again is the bird, the two wings of the bird, right? To be humble and to be curious. Okay. I can remind you all of the 4 C's of Walt Disney. Remember the 4 C's? One of the C is curious. Okay. So consistency is important. So whatever we are learning today, we must consistently practice it. Okay. So for example, when we will come to the prayer of La Hawla wa la Quwwata, then if we consistently practice it, we will actually see its fruits too, right? So consistency, curiosity, confidence, and courage. All right. So those are also some values that these values are also part of our own Ismaili Islamic values too, right? But to come back to this again, this last line, the dimensions of human knowledge have no limit. Why should we pretend, right? So those are very unique words, and it makes us realize of our own limitations, and again to realize that the human mind itself is the creation of He who is above all else, right? How does all this connect with prophetic prayers? Because prophetic prayers actually help us to open our hearts, minds, and intellect to receive all the blessings that we can get. Okay? Prophetic prayers help us with all these intellectual, they teach us how to be respectful intellectually, they teach us how to be humble in the truest sense, because remember, the true humility comes from somebody who is totally knowledgeable and totally understanding of the reality. So, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. In this case, la here actually refers to beginning, the very beginning, which has no form, okay? It's just pure essence. Hawla is change, okay? Wala quwwata, and no strength or power, illa, except by the means of Allah, who is Ali, exalted, the greatest. Okay, so la hawla wa la quwwata. So see, there's a little line up here. My students call it a head, okay, above the letter A. So every time you see this diacritical mark, it means that you have to pronounce the A as double A. Okay, so it's la, not la, la. But what kind of intentions can we have or should we have when we are reciting this? So to look at it a little bit deeply, then la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil. So we say, right, that there is no security nor power except, right, billah, except by Allah. So except Allah, okay, who is high, the great. Now, Aliyul Azim actually refers to Aliyul refers to the universal intellect, and Azim is the universal soul. Okay, and these are the roots of the tree, which is Islam. Hawla, as I mentioned last time, that the special meaning of it is rotation. Okay, so in this case, la hawla wa la quwwata, this prayer, this treasure of paradise, is basically constantly showering blessings upon humanity. Okay, and when one recites this prayer, then ultimately there are no doubts, no difficulties, no problems that remain. We are seeking God's power, okay, through the universal soul and the universal intellect, which is the Imam of the time. So because of the blessings of the Imam of the time, all our problems actually are effaced and or eased and or disappear completely. Okay, so I would just like to remind us very quickly of the recent Diamond Jubilee Farman, where Nur Maulana Shafii Manasini Haji Imam was mentioning also that all our problems go away, go away, go away, gone. How profound and beautiful that is, right? In today's time, where on one hand, we have the most beautiful discoveries that we are making. On the other hand, we have human weaknesses, ethical weaknesses, and then also we have all the other challenges, whether it's COVID-19 or Ida hurricane, Afghanistan situation. But totally, when we look at the whole situation in our universe today, you will see how beautiful this time and this period is. So again, La hawla wa la quwwata reminds us that this beauty actually can be ours every moment. Alright, so I'm just going to request you all to please recite with me, or maybe if 3 friends can come forward, we can recite it together with the intention for global mushkil asan. And proper pronunciation is really beautiful and important because it creates vibrations. And you know, every vibration has its own frequency, right? So if the pronunciation are right, the frequency it will create, it will also energize ourselves mentally too, okay? So may we have few friends, please?
Could I please?
Thank you so much. I appreciate first and foremost you came. That's very good.
You start and then we all join you.
All right. Remember the A, right? So every time we have few of those, so we just have to go a little bit double A's, okay? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. Okay? So there is no change, no power except by Allah, by the means of Allah, who is Ali, exalted the greatest, right? So now we know that Aliyil is basically the universal intellect. Nur Maulana Shakir Mulkini Hazimam, remember the constitution where he informs and transcends our intellect, right? And Azim also is Nur Maulana Shakir Mulkini Hazimam because he is the universal soul, okay? He is actually, all the actions are there. So let's imagine the baraka intellectually as well. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim.
Aliyyil azim, okay.
Aliyyil azim, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So can we go a bit faster?
Yeah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil
azim.
La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil azim. Illa billahil Thank you so much, everybody. And Mola is merciful. I'm deeply grateful for you, Layla, and everyone. Ya Ali Madad, and I would like to hand over to Dr. Rubina now.
Thank you, Yasmin. Am I audible and is my screen visible?
We see you.
Okay, thank you. So this is the same slide since this is part 2, special methods of healing, and we are doing healing through prophetic prayers. And Yasmin beautifully explains that prophetic prayers are important because they are acceptable prayers. Those prophets who have prayed and had experience of going through that prayers, and all prophetic prayers have some kind of spiritual background because they are provided with a
spiritual journey, and during that journey, they prayer in front of Allah, and then it has a deeper meaning. So when they pray to Allah, that means they are within that surrounding of Aklikul and Nafsikul, and then they are giving luminous example for all of us. So that's the reason these prophetic prayers are acceptable prayers, and it has healing inside. Last time we talked about Hazrat Yunus prayer, which is La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin. And this is prayer. He said that tere siwa koi maabood nahi, tu paak hai beshak main zalimoं mein se hu. And we have dissected this prayer, and then we said that La ilaha is Tawheed, Subhanaka is Subhan, it's a kind of tasbih that glorifies Allah, and Zalimin also we little bit discussed that Zalim or cruel or unjust means that you do not do the justice to yourself. It is very important justifying to yourself in terms of giving time and energy and food to your soul and intellect, because we have physics, we have body, we have soul, and we have intellect. So if we do not give time and we do not give our attention to soul and intellect, that means we are doing injustice to soul and to intellect. So that's where this is very important prayer. Then this is very important principle, because this Quranic principles are important for whenever we understand some prayers, and even in ayats also. So there are three main principles which is very important to understand faith and Quran and Quran and ayat. So Allah sets examples and parables. So it is very important that we have to understand what are the examples and what are the meaning of that examples. There is a exoteric explanation and narration in Quran, and the meaning of that ayat, meaning of that particular prayer, it's a exoteric meaning. But there is esoteric meaning, which is a batini meaning or marifati meaning, which is very heavily inbuilt with spirituality. So it has a spiritual meaning and it has a general physical narrative meaning. Ismaili Tariqa is an esoteric Tariqa. We believe in marifat, we believe in batnin, and we also believe in spiritual understanding. So it is also very important that all particular concept which lie in a particular prayer, what actually that means, what actually batini meanings has. And there is another principle is that if we want to reach up to the inner meaning, there are three ways where we can be able to understand those deeper meanings. First is I will go through a knowledge of certainty, which is ilmul yaqeen, eye of certainty, which is ainul yaqeen, and truth of certainty, which is haqqul yaqeen. Knowledge of certainty, what we are gaining knowledge from Faramin, from Dais and Buzurgan-e-Din books. They have written their own experience which they have gone through from the truth of certainty. To go up to the level of eye of certainty, it is very important that one go through dying before death. Mutu qabalan tamutu. So you die before your physical death, your nafsani death, where it is important to get eye of certainty and truth of certainty. Until and unless if we do not go into resurrection of dying before death, then it is difficult for us to go up to the level of eye of certainty, where we can see things, how spiritual journey occurs at the time of Yunus, at the time of Adam, at the time of Nuh. And then truth of certainty means actually a person or a arif or a mu'min experience all those miracles that has been mentioned in Holy Quran, and that has been like all prophet has gone through the similar kind of experience, but in a different times. So the same experience a mu'min can also take those experiences. So these principles are very important, that Quran or Allah explains faith and Islam and spiritual journey of prophet or anyone through examples. So examples are very, very important. Similitudes, parables, and those examples are very important. So these principles are important because they kept, there is a secret inside these examples, and there is a veil, and that veils can be lifted one by one to reach the actual meaning through mutu kabalantam mutu. And secrets of marifat with eye of certainty is not possible without dying before the death. So these three principles are very important, and it may answer one of the questions which last time somebody talks about, that why these Quranic examples are, why these are very difficult, or these terms in the Quran are difficult to understand, because Quran puts veils so that nobody can enter unless a person can go through eye of certainty or a truth of certainty and knowledge of certainty. So we are struggling for getting ilmul yaqeen, eye of certainty. Once we gain certain knowledge, and then with ibadat, and then with lot of riyazat, we may go up to the level of eye of certainty. We may gain that mutu kabalan, the mutu part, and then we experience all those spiritual experiences which Prophet had at that time. And this is a diagram where also it explains, and very important component is firm belief. So firm belief is also important, and that firm belief in Ismailism, we hold a firm belief at like during the childhood, when we ask child to recite dua, recite tasbih, going to Jamaat Khana is important, Imam is the Imam of the time. So all those information, when our little angels get into that, their faith is getting strong, and then after that firm belief, you can achieve. We can achieve knowledge of certainty, then we can achieve certainty of vision, which is the eye of certainty, and then we can go through the ladder of marifat, which is certainty of truth. So this diagram, I thought it is very important so that we understand that all the Quranic concept actually lies under these principles. So now coming to the background that we in Surah Safat, ayat 139 to 148, that Yunus was surely the messenger. Now I have highlighted in a different color font to see that these are actually parables. These are examples, and we will see that what are the deeper meanings inside. So Yunus was prophet, Yunus was Nabi, and he was a messenger. He ran away to a ship, completely laden, and then drew lot, and was of those who are cast off. So the fish swallowed him while he did that for which he blamed himself. And had he not been the one of those who glorify Allah, he would have remained in his belly till the day they are raised, or till the day of resurrection, or till the day of Qiyamah. Then we cast him on a desert shore or a desolate land, why he was sick. And we caused to grow up for him a broad plant, and we sent him to 100,000 rather than exceeded, and they believed, so we gave them provision till that time. So esoteric, this is all esoteric meaning, and it seems that there's some negativity in the prophet, or a prophet was unhappy with the nation, and then he ran, and then he made a big mistake, and then because of that mistake, a fish was swallowed, and he was in a trouble, and then he prayed to God, and then he said that I did injustice to myself, and then Allah gave him again, he was saved, and he was put into the ground, and then again he was sick. Later on, after eating this kadu plant, he was given thousands of his students. So it seems that little bit of negative connotation to a Nabi or a prophet if we just focus on exoteric or just a narration of the meaning. But if we go to, this is just Urdu meaning that बिलाशुबा यूनुस नबियों में से थे. जब भागकर पहुंच गए, he ran away because people or the nation and their students or the people were not listening to him. So he was preaching, but people were not listening and not obeying. So he was frustrated and he ran away. तो भागकर भरी हुई किश्ती में पहुंचे, फिर अंदाजा हुआ और वो मगलूब हो गए, फिर उनको फेंक दिया गया, उसका कुरान निकला, मछली ने उनको निगल लिया और वो अपने आप को मलामत करने लगे. फिर उन्होंने ये तस्बीह की, और अगर ये तस्बीह नहीं करते तो जो है वो आखिर दम तक मछली के पेट में रहते. और फिर उसको मछली ने उगल दिया और एक बेलदार दरख्त जो वहां पर उग गई ऑटोमेटिकली, और उस कद्दू को खाने से इसको थोड़ी एनर्जी मिली, और फिर खुदा फरमाता है हमने इसको 1 लाख बल्कि उससे भी ज्यादा स्टूडेंट्स दिए, या उसको नेशन में उसको ऐसे लोग दिए जो उसकी फरमान बरदारी करते. सो this is all narrated story. Now if we just go through one by one very quickly, few concepts we also have dealt. But first is Yunus was a messenger. So he was at the rank of Nabi. So things may not have happened as narrated exoterically. This is actually something else, and which is the spiritual journey of Hazrat Yunus. And we have learned from many Buzurgan-e-Deen books and Dais and Faramin and Peace Ginan that Yunus was at the level of Nabi. So this is actually story of Hazrat Yunus' spiritual journey. Ran away. In the Quranic concept there are 3 terms, Fafirru, Sari'u and Sabiku. That means run towards Allah, precede others, run towards paradise. So nobody runs with the feet, or we have not seen that people running towards paradise. So why Allah says that run towards paradise or precede others? So no one runs towards physical feet. It is the feet of fikr. It's the feet of intellect. It's the feet of spiritual ibadat. So people walk through the feet of zikr and fikr, that we said that he was running very fast in the zikr. So at that time, during his spiritual journey, he was running with a very fast spiritual ibadat. Then he entered in the completely laden ship that was completely full. So the concept of ship, we know that it's a kishti. Ahle Bayt is like a ship of Noah. So this ship is basically Yunus himself, because he was Nabi. So wo Ahle Bayt mein se tha. And in his own personality, he was a universe. And he was universe. We all have a universe inside ourselves. we all have a universal particle, but these are in the form of particles, and though these particles are not alive, but in Hazrat Yunus, since he has done so much ibadat, so his particles are getting alive, and he was representing all the people in his all personality. That's why the ship was completely laden. So the prophet, all prophets are the living boat of spirituality. So he was also the living boat of spirituality, where his own Isme Azam was automatic, and his Isme Azam was running. Then Qurandazi, like a lot. So when there was a drawing of lottery and Yunus' name was appeared, he was thrown into the sea. So that means he was chosen to jump into the sea of spiritualism. He was a chosen, as Yasmin said, that the prophet of the time was chosen. So he was one of the chosen to be sacrificed for the humanity, to be sacrificed to save the humanity. And since he was chosen, he was progressing, his zikr was progressing. So in the race of spirituality, he won the race. He was chosen to be alive in spiritualism and save humanity. And in Jinan also, we have learned that P. Sadruddin has saved Anant Karor or Bar Karor Nufus. And so these are uplifted people who can save whole of the universe in their own personal spiritual experiences. Then when the fish has swallowed Hazrat Yunus, that means that first tawil is, we know that is a nafse amara, since in one concept of any Quranic term, there are multiple layers of tawil. So the first is nafse amara, it's for all of us, but for the second one is nafse kulli. Fish is also termed as nafse kulli because this fish is the fish, very special fish, and Hazrat Yunus' soul was under control of nafse amara, and he was doing tasbih or purification of God in universal soul. He was inhalated in universal soul. He was born spiritually, and he was growing himself in spirituality. And then after the spiritual journey, he was placed to the highest place, which is intellectual progress, and he achieved the highest stage of health, where he was grown intellectually to the pearl of intellect. So at this level, Hazrat Yunus gets perfect healing. So after learning these terms, we understood that this La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin, and in the Quranic word, in the Quranic explanation or narration, actually Batini meaning are very, very important.
I didn't know anybody was home.
Hello? Anyone saying something? So this is, I hope we now can connect spiritual experience of Hazrat Yunus with the tasbih and Hazrat Yunus' spiritual experiences, which is mentioned in the Holy Quran. Then similarly, Hazrat Adam prayer, Rabbana Zallamna Anfusana wa illam takfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunanna minal khasirin. I'm reciting again. रब्बना ज़ल्लमना अनफुसना, ए हमारे रब हमने जुल्म किया अपने नफ्स पे, अपनी जान पे. Same zulm, we have been unjust to our soul. रब्बना ज़ल्लमना अनफुसना व इल्लम तग़फ़िर लना, अगर तुमने माफ नहीं किया, व तरहमना, रहम नहीं किया, लनकूनन्ना मिनल खासिरीन, तो हम लूजर्स में से हो जाएंगे. तो हवा और आदम की ये तस्बीह है कि हमने अपनी जानों पे जुल्म किया, और अगर तूने हमको नहीं बख्शा, रहम नहीं किया, तो हम लूजर्स में से या ज़ियाकारियों में से हो जाएंगे. So, oh Lord, we have been unjust to our soul, and if you do not forgive us and have mercy on us, we shall certainly be among losers. So this is very important tasbih, similar to Hazrat Yunus tasbih, since the spiritual journey for all the prayers, all the prophets are similar. It's like water. If you put water in a glass, it takes different shape. If you put water in jug, it takes different shape. If you put water in other vessels, it takes the shape of its vessel. So it's similarly journey, spirituality is same, but when it comes to the personality of prophet, it turns into different stories. So here also the esoteric meaning is different, where people say that he has done something wrong, he has done nafarmani, and he has gone and touched the tree which was mamnu tree, and then he was sent to the earth. But he also was uplifted to the intellectual level, and that's where Allah said that Adam was tubu, tawab, wo tawab mein tha, he was saying the words of humility, and so Allah accepted repentance, and then he was most relenting and ever merciful. So Adam, one title is he was also among tawab, like those who are whose prayers are acceptable prayers. So in the spiritual aspect, sacred and pure words which are taught to Hazrat Adam were the perfect words, and that words are Kalima Tama, and Hazrat Adam was given the knowledge of the supreme name. So it is important to remember that Tawbah means return. So he returned up to the level of intellectual healing, and then he healed himself intellectually, he healed himself spiritually. So he has gone through the journey of spirituality and reached up to the level of intellectual upliftment. So that's where every prophet gone through spiritual journey, and then later on gone through the intellectual journey, and after that intellectual journey he can give teaching and preaching to his nation. So it's a kind of similar meaning for all the prayer, and that's why these prayers are very important prayers. It has healing inside. Since we all have the level of healing, physical healing, spiritual healing, ethical healing, and these prayers are very helpful since they are acceptable, and those stories behind the prayers are related to spiritual journey, and at the level of intellect, all prophets reached at the level of intellect, from where we received the knowledge and from where we received the knowledge of certainty. So reciting these prayers can save and heal our soul and also body from many diseases. So let's try out at least few prayers. I showed this La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minaz zalimin, and the other prayer is Rabbana zallamna anfusana wa illam taghfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunanna minal khasirin. And this is mentioned in Quran, Surah 7, Ayat 23. So if you see Surah 7, which is Surah Araf, Ayat 23, it's Arabic, it's there, and you can also read from the transliteration, and you can also recite. We all can recite to heal ourselves, both the tasbih, which are very powerful tasbih. So thank you very much. So I and Yasmin can get any question, queries, discussion, or comments. Thank you.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. What a wonderful session, mashallah. I see, Dr. Sahiba, for you, can these prayers be written in English, please? If you have a slide or you want to give us the slides later with the English transliteration, that would help.
We can do that definitely. Am I audible?
Now you are.
Okay. So we can do that, but we have the Quran available, which has English transliteration, and they're available in maybe computer, Google as well. But I will definitely do that.
Thank you so much. So we do know that Dr. Sahiba, Yasmin will share their slides and which will be posted on the group, and you'll be able to see the references, and just you need to then read the transliteration from the Quran. Thank you. You're most welcome, Naveen. I do not see any other question. Kamran sir, am I missing any question? I see one question. I think you talked about it. What mistake did he make?
Yeah. So actually, it seems that this is the mistake, but we now have discussed that this was actually a spiritual journey. In the narration, in the exoteric narration, it is said that since people were not listening to Hazrat Yunus, so he just ran away. He was frustrated and he ran away. So that was the mistake. In the narration, we identify in the story, it was narrated. Actually, this run away is different meaning, has a different meaning.
Would you like to elaborate on it?
So I also said that running away means run. To run is moving fast or running from the feet of spirituality. So he was going very fast towards spirituality. He was running very fast towards paradise, towards Imam, or towards spiritual journey. So that's how it is said that he ran away.
So that can't be a mistake if he's going towards paradise. How could that be a mistake? It's good.
No, that's what I'm saying. That was not a mistake, but it was exoterically, it has said that this was a mistake.
Okay.
And then I see actually it's a language question, I think. The word RUBINA, oh my Lord. So, oh my Lord ayat, are they similar to the prophetic prayers?
Because these prayers are recited by Prophet. So they say, oh Allah, Rabbana, Mere Rabb, Hamare Rabb. Rabbana means Hamare Rabb. Rabbi means Mera Rabb. So Rabb means Palne Wala. So Prophet also has led a life, leading a life to show people that he also is a human being and he can go through these spiritual experiences so people can follow Prophet. So once you do something, then people can follow the same thing.
Subhanallah, Subhanallah. Then I see...
Yasmin can add. Yasmin, if you want to add something, please.
That's what I was about to say, that I saw for Yasmin content. Everybody loved when you read the Surah Dua Nur, and the friends are asking if you can share the translation, because he's saying the translation so beautifully too. So surely we'll have the recording, but if we can have the translation from you. And surely when I ask this question, please keep your camera on, Yasmin, so we can see when you want to add when I ask questions. Thank you, Yasmin.
Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. Dua Nur, I can get that to you.
Let me ask a question to you both. Was Hazrat Noah also not tired of his people, literally speaking, and Allah asked him to build the boat to save the Mu'mins? Please advise.
Yes, I think we now try to understand that these concepts are so much similar. All prophets and we all go through the same path, Sirate Mustaqim. So it's the same path. Everybody will go through the same experience, same path, but of a little bit different vessels. So I think we are now getting towards understanding that these boats are Ahle Bayt, and building a boat is building Ahle Bayt in its personality through spiritual progress and intellectual progress. So these are the stories of intellectual progress, spiritual and intellectual progress, and reaching up to the level of intellect, reaching up to the level of nafsekul and aklekul.
Wallah. Yasmin, do you want to add something?
Yasmin, if you can, are you saying the Surah Nur? If you allow me, I have the whole thing. Can I please?
Yeah, sure. It's not Surah Nur.
Dua Nur. It's Dua Nur.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Sure.
Shall I, please?
Sure.
Let me, I don't know if my pronunciation is right, but well, I'll try. Because I say it every. Okay. Dua Nur, Imam Jafar al-Sadiq, used to recite this dua after every morning prayer. Allahumma, O Allah, Jal li nuran fi kalbi, make for me a light in my heart, and wa nuran fi sami, a light in my ear, and wa nuran fi basri. Am I? Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I'm just making it easy for everybody because you can do heart and then the 5 senses, right?
Oh, that's what you are pointing at. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Wa nuran fi sami, a light in my ear, and wa nuran fi basri, a light in my eye, and wa nuran fi lisani, a light in my tongue, wa nuran fi shari, a light in my hair, and wa nuran fil basri, a light in my skin, and wa nuran fil lahmi, a light in my flesh, and wa nuran fil dami, a light in my blood, and wa nuran fi izami, a light in my bones, and wa nuran fi asabi, a light in my nerves, and wa nuran baina yadaya, a light in front of me, and wa nuran mil kalfi, a light behind me, and wa nuran an yamini, a light on my right side, and wa nuran an yasri, a light on my left side, and wa nuran mil fawki, a light above me, and wa nuran mil tahti, a light below me. So that is what Daimul Islam, volume Dhikr after Salat. Did I say it right? I tried.
You did very, very good. You did very good. Just Kalfi.
Kalfi.
Yeah, there's an H there, right? So just Kalfi. The way I understood, maybe it was right. Maybe it was just the audio of
the heart, you mean? The heart? Kalfi?
No, Kalbi.
Kalbi.
Kalbi. So the reason we are seeking Nur for our heart first is it's pumping oxygenated blood throughout our body, right? And it takes away all the carbon dioxide, refreshes it. So when Nur, that's why we ask Nur for our heart first. And if you remember the diagram that Dr. Rubina showed you, right? Firm belief.
Yeah. Yes,
so
the belief.
This prayer, Allahumma ja'alli nuran fi qalbi, when Imam's Nur illuminates our heart, then all our organs will be healthy, right? Because now every single particle is filled with Nur and Nuraniyat. So, and this Dua Nur, it's very profound, and it's actually because we are asking for Nur in front of us, behind us, on our left side, right side. So basically there's 16 lights, right, in here. And so 6 and 1 is the simple number of 16 is 7, and there are 7 cycles in creation, the 6 cycles of the 6 prophets, and then the 7th is a cycle of Imamat. Thank you.
And we heard from Niyamat Didi, Al-Wahidul Kahar, Ali Allah, the Zikr Tasbih. So that also helps with our Nuran fi Kalbi, right? The heart, to bring
Yes,
love to the heart.
yes, absolutely. That's a
Al-Wahidul
profound
Kahar.
Al-Wahidul Qahhar. So
Kahar.
the Wahid, the one, he is the one and he makes us all one,
One.
forcefully or willingly. So you can connect it with prophetic prayers in the sense that Hazrat Adam's prayer when he did Tawbah, it wasn't the physical Tawbah, right? It wasn't the repentance of sins as such, but it was the return to the origin, the return to the oneness, right? So Hazrat Yunus's prayer where, the universal soul, the fish itself, engulfs this. So it's this whole idea of becoming one with the Nur. It's very profound and everything begins from the heart, the personal world.
This is Prophet personal journey. Yes, it is a personal journey, but actually once when Prophet actualized his personality, he also saved the whole of the humanity as well. So because the particles are there inside the humanity. So there are two things Prophet is doing. One is saving whole of the humanity. Amongst them, like they are all in their personal world. The other thing, when he reached up to the level of intellect, he come back to his nation and then give them the teaching. So he is for the nation. So he walked to the path, to the Sirat-e-Mustaqim, reached the destiny, and then goes back to the nation to guide them more clearly to knowledge of certainty, because now he has brought knowledge of certainty with him, and now he is, whatever he's saying with the knowledge of certainty, with the knowledge of experience. If I have experienced something and I bring that experience to my children or to my family, then I will be able to explain more clearly in words, and then if I would not have experienced those. So it is very important. All Prophet also goes to the personal journey, because there are two important things for the Prophet. One is to save all of the humanity, and other is to provide knowledge for their own progress as well. So I hope I answered a question where it says that it is a personal journey, then he is not to guide people.
Yasmin, would you like to add something?
Yeah, I just would like to make a connection with my first slide. Remember, he who saves a life, it is as though he saves the entirety of humanity. Remember that? It is Nur Maulana Shakir Mulsini Haj Imam who is the actual personal world, and he is inspiring us so that we would follow the path. Remember the Usul Din Farman? The key message in my understanding here is to focus on how beautifully our peers have and how beautifully the prophets have gone through this whole process, and now this process is made possible for us. It's like Dr. Rubina had mentioned, all this is not possible without dying in the physical realm, die spiritually in order to experience all that. And as Shukr Guzari, I would like to mention my beloved teacher who actualized his personal world with the mercy of the Imam of the time when he actualized the course of Isme Azam. And the result of all those blessings of Farman Bardar, he obeyed the Imam of the time, he actualized the course of Isme Azam, he went through resurrection, he completed his personal world, and as a result we have all these books today, over 160 books and also poetry and all that. So if I can read this very quickly, It may answer some more questions. There's a hadith of a holy prophet where prophet says that every one of you is a chief and a protector of ourselves, and each one of us, we are accountable for our subjects on the day of resurrection. So this is a hadith. The holy prophet is saying, so reflection point, right? Where are our subjects? Where are my subjects? Where are your subjects today, right? So they are in our personal world. And remember, the personal world is actually the world where we can recognize Allah, where all these experiences take place, right? The spiritual experiences take place in our personal world, right? So this means that God has kept, now Allama Sahib is explaining that this means that God has kept a potential kingdom in the personal world of every human being. Every human being. How beautiful. Whoso fails to actualize this potential will be accountable for his subjects on the day of resurrection. God is so omnipotent that if all the people in the world were to become kings in their respective worlds, the people of the entire world will be subjects of every king. For instance, the Holy Prophet said, "Obey me, I will make you kings of the earth."
One of the friend is asking, it's related to what you are saying, what you're reading, with regards to prophets reaching the eye of certainty, then coming back to teach humanity, is this then for regular humans to teach others, once having certainty in their own personal words? If yes, then isn't this contradictory to Imam's Betul Khiyal Farman, telling us not to disclose if anyone is touched by the light? You see the relationship?
I can just little bit explain this, because when start spiritual journey, Imam has given Isme Azam, and then you start the journey. So once you see the first light, or maybe starting your spiritual progress, then you do not tell anyone, because it is like the pal is still kacha. So you do not want that to get destroyed. Like when the hen gives egg, and then at some time you do not touch that, you do not want to break this shell. Once you progress up to the level of spiritual experience, and at the level of intellectual experience, and at the level of the intellect, then if you do not say anything, then you are doing injustice, because this whole nemat and treasure is given to you by Nafsekul and Aklekul, and in that you have traveled Nafsekul and Aklekul in the Imam of the time, and you have received all those treasure. And then Imam asks you to go back to your, and in Quran also it says that people when went to the paradise, he will come back to his people, and then he will show his Amal Nama. So he will come back to his people from that spiritual and intellectual journey and show his Amal Nama, or what he received, and this all is the treasure of Imam. He will not say that this is my own particular treasure. He will explain that these treasures, or these spiritual treasures or spiritual concepts, are from Imam and is of Imam. So at one point in time, definitely you do not tell anyone, but when you mature at the level of intellect, then this is a responsibility of Peer, Hujjat, Dai, and all those who have gone up to that level to teach and come down and teach their nation.
Beautiful, yeah, thank you. I also just want to make a correction point. I think I heard eye of certainty, right? So that's in between stage. You come back after Haqqul Yaqeen, truth of certainty. Ilmul Yaqeen, Ainul Yaqeen, and Haqqul Yaqeen. The completion is at Haqqul Yaqeen, where then the demonstration of the pearl of intellect is given. And at that point, at that completion point, then even in the story of Hazrat Adam, if you look at the physical story, manipulated totally, right? So Hazrat Adam first, he was not thrown out of paradise, because what sin is there in paradise for him to commit in the beginning, right? But my point was that when Hazrat Adam came down, it actually meant that he came down to the level of the people, because in his personal world, which now became actual, he experienced all the treasures and secrets of God. And then he came down to the level of the people to explain to them, if you so wish, here are all the treasures, here are all the beauties. You want to explore creation, you want to know about Allah, here, I'm telling you. So in that sense, even the Prophet came down from Miraj, right? When he did Miraj, and it's Imam's words, it's a foolish idea of the masses that he rode on the horse, right? So again, this cycle in the personal world, and Holy Prophet, when he came down, meaning after his experience, he came and then he gave us more knowledge.
There was one more question. You explained it beautifully, both of you. And I think Dr. Rubina did cover it, but I do want to read it out to you, Yasmin, if you want to add something. So in conclusion to what we've been discussing, the prophets who carry out this teaching, the particles in them are like universal soul or universal intellect. Is that what happens in the making of the prophet?
Simply, I can say to you that the prophet, because now if we call the prophet, then that means his personal world is actual. That means his personal world is the universal soul and is the universal intellect. And then in his world, all of us, every single particle of every single thing in humanity, especially all of us human beings, are also there. Pir Sadruddin gave salvation to 2.some billion souls, right? Because all of us are in the personal world which becomes actual. So Nur Maulana Shah Karim Al-Hussaini Haj Imam is the actual personal world. He is the universal soul, he is the universal intellect. And so if we say the Holy Prophet, so in my understanding, the Prophet himself is the universal soul and is the universal intellect. And all of us are in his personal world. So when, for example, Nur Maulana Shah Karim Al-Hussaini Haj Imam says, my beloved spiritual child or my beloved spiritual children, my hand is upon you, I give you blessings. If we are aware of that, trust me, instantly we will feel a change in ourselves. Because right now we are an Imam. We are in the nur of the Imam of the time. Even if we just imagine the warmth of the Imam teaching us, right? And that's another beautiful way to understand that when Imam says his intellect informs us and transcends us, how does Imam teach us, right? We don't physically go to Eglamon or Lisbon and have interviews with Imam or ask Imam to teach us. So it's through spirituality, through Nurani rays and through Nurani mercy that Imam inspires us, or we get some ideas and then enhances our understanding.
So when Imam says, I'm with you all the time, a minute, second, every year, every season, what does that mean? He's just making us happy by saying this, or it's just general he's saying? No, actually he is with us all the time, wherever we go. So that's our personal world is also universal world, but it is potential. Yes. It is potential universal world. And in one of my lecture or our lecture where we explained Nafse Wahida. So Imam is actually Nafse Wahida, where he possesses all the particles, universal particles in actualized manner. And we are also having all the universal particles, but in a potential manner. So there is a chance for all of us to actualize this particle and go up to the level of nafs kulli when we annihilate ourselves in Iman.
SubhanAllah, SubhanAllah. That was very beautiful explanation, connecting so many dots actually. It's so beautiful. Thank you. I do not see any more questions, and I think you have covered the questions which were remaining last time in your lectures only. I did heard you saying that. Do you want to add something, Yasmin, or we end it here? Because
yes, I would like to read the words of our Imam. Maybe I can put my screen up, and if somebody else wishes to read it for all of us, let me see. Thank you. All right, here we go. So I had done an article on orcas, a series, and this is from there. So please go ahead. These are words of our beloved Khudawan Sultan Muhammad Shah al-Husseini, our source of sacrifice.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Khudawan al-Hayy Sultan Azam Hazrat Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah al-Husseini alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, acquire in addition to modern science a knowledge of the glorious past of our religion. Without that, childlike feeling of dependence on the unseen power of which the visible universe is but a sign, our youth can never develop their highest and noblest faculties, their spiritual and
spiritual and emotional qualities. So the reason this is so important and profound is because we are actually at the merging point of physical science and spiritual science right now. And there may be questions about our intellect, there may be questions about, do we need God? Does God exist? Some people are narcissists, some people are atheists, some people just don't want to do anything with the concept of a higher being. So in all that, if one just looks at nature around, because that's what this is saying, right? All we have to do is just look at nature around us and we will see signs of Allah, we will see signs of God everywhere, right? And then there's also this key that Imam gives us that we should really be childlike in our dependency on the unseen power. Because you know the beauty of a child is a child looks at a whole big picture of everything. We as human beings, we take just one little section of it and we go deeper and deeper, but those are not helpful at all, right? The childlike dependency on the unseen power of which this visible world is an example. Imam says this visible universe tells us about the unseen powers of God. And there's just beauty all over. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, and it has one more concept of the, beside this modern science, it is also important to acquire knowledge of glorious part of our religion. Past of our religion.
Yes.
So past is all the Holy Quran and its meaning. So without its meaning and conceptual understanding, if we just believe on childlike feelings, then our faculty will not be developed and we may not be able to progress spiritually and intellectually.
SubhanAllah, SubhanAllah. It's like, we don't want to end and continue to listen to all these different points of wisdom, mashallah. I do not see any more questions, so thank you so much.
Mawla's mercy, thank you, Nimet and Wali.
Thank you, Dr. Rubina. Thank you so much.